In the spring of 2005, a warning shot was fired about the dangers of his brave new world when the credit rating agencies unexpectedly downgraded the debt of General Motors and Ford. All the models went higher. Press reports speculated that some hedge funds and some Wall Street banks had lost huge sums that made investment the others. The Hess ran an article entitled "The Systemic Serious Shells Game Could the Hottest Market in All of Fixed Income Be a Disaster in the Making?" In nothing ominously that mainly players in the market weren't cap- capable of assessing the risks. Marshall Gibson, the Federal Reserve's chief of trading risk analyst, told the magazine that we are hearing from market participants in that there is a minority of serious investors, perhaps 10%, who do not really understand what they are getting into, said an unnamed market participant. I imagine the number is here. It's mind blowing how much data you have to get headly on the measure your exposure rates expert Leslie Roll explained it. There could be a substantial difference between what uh, theoretical model tells you something is worth and where buyer and the seller are willing to transact. As usual, what should have been a wake-up call was ignored quickly. The synthetic serious market incorporate bonds rebounded, and Wall Street took the next step. It began repackaging credit default swap on mortgage-backed securities into synthetic CDOs. Some of these synthetic CDOs are only referenced mortgage-backed securities. Others also included some actual mortgage-backed securities or of then asset-backed securities such as commercial mortgage, credit card debt, student loans, and so on. Not only didn't this up the ante in complexity, but it also opened the amount of leverage at work. A corporate credit default swap had its share of leverage, but at least the underlying instrumental was an obligation of a real company. More often than not, the underlying instrument being referenced in this new synthetic CDOs was a percent loan to value mortgage made to a homeowner who probably couldn't pay, and yet the outlet was overpowering. There was so much demand for these securities that no matter how fast the originators made mortgage, it was fast enough. In 2005, Lars Snoller, who worked with Chris Riccardi at Merrill Lynch, told USA Credit in ABC asset-based securities, the availability of asset has been a sticking point. There is finite amount of them issued. He pointed out that after subprime mortgage were crafted into residential mortgage-backed securities, there was only about $10 billion to $1 billion in the lowest raised triple B ranges, since those were the tranches with the best yield and therefore, therefore were the most attractive raw material for CDOs. It had the effect of putting a natural cap, as Norrell put it, on CDOs issuance, plus buying of the securities for CDOs could take up to 6 to 9 months, but with synthetic CDOs it didn't matter anymore in the originator's could make new mortgage or even if they went out of business entirely, because synthetic CDOs made of credit default swap reference mortgage bonds that already existed. You didn't need any more bonds. You could clone the same risk tranches against and again, 5, 10, 20 times if you wanted. And you could do this quickly without waiting around to buy real securities, even if there wasn't a single new mortgage bond crazy. The supply of securities was now infinity and immediate, thanks to credit default swap and synthetic CDOs. But that also meant that a surprise mortgage continued to default, and those losses eventually began to erode the value of the CDOs. Those losses were going to be greatly amplified because so many sites bid had been made so quickly throughout the purchase synthetic CDOs. The gains were amplified to because synthetic CDOs are a zero-sum game. Someone has to lose and someone has to win. Even after all the damage had been done, some will make the argument that there was nothing wrong with this. In a free market, shouldn't all participants be able to express their views? Euphemism for placing a bet on the direction of mortgage banking securities? Maybe so. But if the ability to short a mortgage banking security and maybe even the construction of the index brought a kill of transparency to the market when the synthetic CDOs took it away. That's because the synthetic CDOs allowed Wall Street to take all the Mike Burris and Andy Redleff's bets, and instead of holding to other side of these bets or finding investors who actually wanted to be long trains or triple B Vermont mortgage.